Our next session today is a panel discussion on a topic that keeps every retailer on their toes. How do you keep pace with demand and also industry trends without compromising on quality or creativity? Think about it. Campaigns that used to take weeks now need to go live in just hours. That's across product launches, seasonal campaigns, and even real-time destination updates. The demand for fresh, relevant content is across every touchpoint. You're about to hear from leading retailers across fashion, travel, and sports apparel. And I'll allow our brilliant moderator to introduce them. So please join me in welcoming to the stage Rachel Tonner, Principal Product Marketing Consultant and Sales Enablement at Amplience.
Thank you all. So today we're going to be talking about cracking the content code, supply chains built for speed and scale. It's really important, obviously, that we move at the speed of ideas, but we also need to move at the speed of culture. And for fashion, that can mean one thing. For travel, that can mean speed of incidents, brand storytelling. So we're going to get into a lot of that today. I have with me here today Rehan Salim, who's head of product at Breuninger, Danilo Ladoris Jr., Director of Capability and Integration, and Patrick Zaldua, Solutions Architect at Cebu Pacific, and Craig Egan, Associate Director, Digital Trade, EMEA at JD Sports. Thank you all for joining us today. So Craig, I'm going to start with you. What were your biggest challenges in your previous content operations that pushed you to reimagine your content supply chain for JD Sports?
Absolutely. I think probably quite aligned with Joe from Ultra that we heard from before. Very linear content management solution, in-house built, great for one single market where we're really well known. Since we started to scale across Europe, 14 markets, complex customer journeys, absolute nightmare. And also needed to use developers for the business teams that I run to actually get content live, again, from the keynote earlier. So we needed to get away from that to be able to pivot and be more agile. Yeah, and such a big business and so many brands as well. Rehan, can you tell us the same? What were your challenges when you were looking for a content supply chain platform?
Yeah. Thank you very much for giving the chance as well. So I'll start a little bit from the Breuninger history. So Breuninger has been a luxury retailer in Germany, a family-owned only in Germany with 13 stores currently. And we had only a shop in Germany, e-commerce shop. And most of our revenue was coming from stores. But when COVID came, and you all know that everyone stopped going to stores. And what happens, our e-commerce business started shooting up. And we were almost at that time, in 2 years, 70% of our revenue started coming from there. So that pushed us to changing our strategy to focus more on internationalization, go with e-commerce shops more in Europe. And when we decided that, we wanted to go everywhere in Europe, in most of the countries, then came the topic of scalability, how we can scale. We were not really using a content management system before. We had to ask ourselves, okay, how headless CMS could help us, how centralized content could help us, how centralized DAM could help us. So all these questions with respect to internationalization pushed us to rethink about our content strategy and how we can improve our supply chain.
Yeah, so different businesses, right? Maybe a smaller team at Breuninger, different goals, but it's quite a jump actually going from a different CMS that wasn't headless or not a solution for that to a headless CMS. How has that been for you?
Quite interesting. Of course, challenging as well, right? So there's a certain culture in an organization when they are working really in the channel specific, like creating content channel specific. But with headless CMS, our goal was to go away from the channel, create centralized content, which can be easily managed across different channels, across different countries. It's a process, I would say. It takes some time. But in the end, if I look at today, since like 4 to 5 years we are using it, I think the right decision has been made. We, of course, have certain challenges going further. But headless CMS is definitely, I believe, is going to stay there to build our centralized content supply chain on top of that.
Yeah, we'll go into more of that a bit later. But Danilo, how do you ensure that accelerating production and delivery of content doesn't come at the expense of your brand storytelling or creativity? You do a lot with like destination, personalization, things like that. Can you tell us a bit more?
So we kind of relate a lot with the earlier session with Joe. So we had a very similar direction. So back in 2019, we decided to move away from our legacy applications, and we did a total revamp of both architecture and design for all of our digital products, mainly our website, our native app, even digital kiosk that people uses during check-in in the airlines. So we did all that. And what enabled us to accelerate all those content changes is that we used headless that time. And we were able to consume common contents being done by marketing people to all of our digital channels. And we did the same approach. We did omni-channel. And right now, we are in the progress of doing another revamp. And we are heading towards micro front-end, microservices, and even incorporating static site generation and leverage more on cache to improve our performance and enable even faster content creation across the whole digital products within Cebu Pacific.
Yeah, so you've been on this journey quite a while, from 2019 to now. It sounds like you're kind of optimizing that more now. What are more of the benefits you're seeing now in your second stage of revamp?
So one of the major challenges that we are having in the airline industry is battling the bots. So we are often being scraped for regular fares, promo fares. So because we do a lot of campaigns, crazy campaigns. So we even do piso sale, wherein we're giving basically the ticket for free. So we're getting a lot of traffic because of that, because of those campaigns. And mainly, right now, we're optimizing the use of all our capabilities to ensure that we can provide and deliver our content to the customers and for them to be able to do booking seamlessly.
Yeah, sounds very challenging. But, for fashion, I'm going to go back to you, Craig. Speed is often about, like I said before, reacting to the trends. You must have to do a lot of reacting to trends in JD Sports. How do trends shape your content supply chain strategy?
Yeah, good question. I mean, it's a learning on the go kind of situation most of the time. We have the challenge and pleasure, I'll be fair, of dealing with a 16 to 24-year-old contingent for most of the time who are demanding, fickle, not loyal anymore. And yeah, we were actually just speaking to Rehan about this in the coffee break, that it's hard enough going cross-border and making your content seem relevant even with big teams, which I'm fortunate to have over some other retailers. But then meeting those demands, even at a regional level within cities. We were talking about the difference in style between Munich and Berlin, or Paris and Marseille, for example. So being specifically targeted, getting in at the right time, at the right journey, means our content system needs to be able to adapt to that. I am very much the face of it. A lot of hard work goes on the team. My content lead's here, so I don't want to take credit. But yeah, we've had to do a lot of work over the last 3 years, and Amplinks will be a key point of that going forward as well.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because I'm really curious about how such a big team does all of that in an organized way. Can you dive one level deeper?
Yeah, guardrails, essentially. Yeah. So it was a case of, we know what our brand proposition is. We have brand guidelines for that. How do we structure that into our tiered approach when it comes to deploying campaigns and content? So we have main campaigns. A lot of effort goes in up the front, as everyone probably knows, models, shoots, site locations, photography. We kind of keep that similar, but we keep a framework that we can interject localization. Then we have our kind of branded campaigns, which happen on a more regular cadence, and then tactical is where we've had to make the biggest change. So that is exactly what you're talking about, reacting to trends. How do we show up with the right product to the right consumer at the right time, in the right location, in the right part of their shopping journey, to convince them or to get them straight to product to buy? And understanding that life cycle has been a large learning curve, even with teams. There's no matter how many people you've got, we can't compete with the demands of the consumer without technology being our 11th man, basically.
Yeah. Rehan, I'm curious how your business reacts to trends. Slightly smaller team, maybe, but can you tell us a bit about your process?
For fashion, I have to say speed is important, but not the most important thing. For us, especially being in the luxury business, inspiring the customer is very important. So Breuninger, we have a mission that we want to be the perfect host for our customers there. And how can we be perfect host? I think it's easier when you are in store, direct connection, you can book the services quite easy, you can impress them. But in digital world, it gets more challenging to provide that experience what they are looking for. So as you mentioned that you need to understand what are the customers you are looking for, what is the audience, what is the segment you have. And when you have a luxury segment who are really picky on certain things, that makes it more challenging as well, that how you can still inspire them, how can you provide the trends they are looking for, because trends are changing. Every year trends are changing, and then how we can really automize that. I think that is the biggest challenge, and we keep on asking ourselves, can we really automize everything? Can we really build everything based on AI? No, I don't. Currently, I don't believe, but might be with what you have shown today in the morning workforce, might be that is the solution, but that is the challenge. And we were just discussing the other day, every retailer has also their own needs. Like if, for instance, Chanel is coming to us, they would not like to have the same brand page, which we have for everyone. They want to have it in black. How do we optimize that? They would not like to have the same content. Even in stores, if you go to Breuninger stores, you would see different Chanel's part, like where they have set it on their own, they would not allow Breuninger. So these are the challenges which you have to see and tackle, but I believe still it's not the 100%, right? So it's the balance which you have to see that 80% of the business can still be standardized and still be content can be created. And I believe what we are focusing on, we are automizing our workflows so that our creatives can focus on new ideas, new trends, and our technology provides the solution to be more efficient.
Yeah, because the real solution is still having that human touch and also that human review where required. I've also worked in luxury retail. I know about Chanel not wanting to appear next to other brands and things like that. So yeah.
Rachel, I can probably build on that as well with one little bit we were talking about again earlier around, I would hope that anyone based in the UK would know who JD Sports was. We've been in the market for 40 years now and have about 430 stores across the region. So our proposition for bringing product to life or infiltrating people's shopping feeds is quite, I'm not going to say easy, but more simplified than when you're not a market leader. And I think that was the biggest challenge I had to give to the team was, how do we change our content strategy and feel to have to story tell about not just the product we're trying to sell, but also who we are as a reliable, trustworthy retailer? That was a huge challenge to work out how we pivoted from being just a pure out and out, we have this product, it's a great product, you buy it, cash, cheers, see you next time, to trust us, here's the product, here's the rationale, here's why you buy it. It's a lot more of a complex go-to-market strategy.
Yeah, it's storytelling, right? Absolutely. Rehan, what strategies or technologies have helped you manage content at scale across the markets and products and channels without creating bottlenecks?
I'll come back to inspiring the customers and internationalization. So this is the strategy which we have placed for ourselves, that we want to go internationalization, implement that. And headless CMS, for instance, again, not that I'm here, but that has been the help there, right? So you are creating the content, not considering the channels, and you can easily then release that content in different countries and different channels. Along with that, I find quite interesting is also these translations. It used to take to bring one new country when we started almost 4 to 6 months. And we had to make it efficient. We cannot wait that long. So what we have just done, and Katrina, my PO, she's working on that, integrating SmartCat. That is the one solution which we are using to translate our current websites easily, and we have integrated into Amplience directly. With one click, our content editors can just send the content and which comes back after translated in Amplience. So you see how much time you are saving there. Then the workflows comes in there, how we can automate the links, for instance. I'm going really deep in there, but links, managing links in every country and different product. How do we manage that? So there we are working to automate that. Centralized DAM is a topic. So different technology-wise, we are also focusing on that. From strategic-wise, as I mentioned, internationalization, going in that direction, plus an app focus. So that is lately what we have done. You have to pick your fights, I believe. You have to set your goals on certain topics. If we continue saying, yeah, desktop is important, mobile is important, I believe you would not be able to reach your goal. And what we have done, we have clearly mentioned that app focus, app first. That's what we want to build. And based on that, if it goes to desktop, good enough. But that is where our most customers are, and our KPIs are showing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And KPIs are incredibly important with everything that we do. I want to go back to you, Patrick. Travel trends could be linked to incidents, could be linked to many other things besides just trends. What kind of KPIs or outcomes are you looking at to evaluate the success of your campaigns, the success of your content supply chain transformation? like time to market, engagement, et cetera. How are you measuring that ROI of what you're able to do?
Yeah, we're measuring the KPI for how we use the content to deliver timely updates to our customers, to our passengers. The airline industry is a very heavily regulated industry, ensuring that all customers are informed of any timely updates, any flight disruption, any notification, any cancellation. They should be notified in any channel they can access. Now, to improve on this, we use Amplience to deliver content to different markets. Our company services the Southeast Asia region. Within the 4-hour travel period in our country, there's 2 billion people there. That's a very large market that we wish to target. And by doing localization and translation with the aid of Amplience, we are able to create content for those different markets, those different cultures, to really engage them and allow them to travel to our country or to any other country outside of us. Now, to also speed up time to market, we not only use Amplience to deliver content to our digital channels. Our marketing team also uses Amplience to share assets to our media partners, to those who are advertising through billboards, through magazines, to share content with them. Now, that content is only one, the original size content, the expanded content, and we also consume those content in our digital channels to ensure that we are giving it to the customers in a very optimized manner. We used accelerated media to really optimize on what device they use and what format they are able to support, giving us the capability to deliver content without sacrificing the quality, but also improving the performance. So that's one thing that we really leverage Amplience on. It's more on localization and delivering content across all channels, digital or not.
Yeah, absolutely. And that delivery part is so important. So you create one asset and then you can deliver it anywhere in whatever size it needs to. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, that's correct.
Can I just get a little bit of an idea of how big your teams are, your content teams? Just, Craig?
Pretty big. In the European landscape, we've probably got about 35 that directly work for me on content, and then a studio of about 170.
Okay. How about you, Rehan?
Not as that big, Craig wins here. So, yeah, for content, I believe, like, if I'm not wrong, around 40 to 50 people are working definitely on content. So content editors include their briefings and then creating the content as well. But at the same time, from the technical perspective, so we also have a couple of teams there with each team around 7 to 8 people. So I would say 50 to 60 people are working on the content.
Yeah. How about
and
you?
that's, I'm talking about only non-product content. So if you talk about content, I think there we make a differentiation. There's a product content and there's a non-product content.
Yeah.
And today I'm mainly talking about the inspirational non-product content, but that's what we are using CMS for. But for product content, that's a complete different story then.
Got it. Yeah, Danilo.
For us, mainly in-house, we're a bit small in terms of the population for marketing, but we do partner with multiple marketing agencies across the Southeast Asia in order for us to target specifically culture-based marketing campaigns across the region.
Yeah. We were talking a bit before about bottlenecks, and it sounds like you guys are doing a really great job at alleviating those bottlenecks within your businesses. Craig, you had some things that we were talking about on the phone about like the guardrails and how you're helping to alleviate the bottlenecks. Can you come in on that?
And well, we do, and I think it's super important. I think one of the biggest challenges we had was appreciating that some of our most important consumers at JD Sports aren't actually the consumers who end up with the product. It's the brand partners, kind of alluding back to the Chanel comment from earlier. They want control over a lot of things we do. We're a global brand partner for the Nikes and the Adidas and the Under Armours of this world. So there's usually a collaboration, or there always was a collaboration of what we were putting to market to sell their product. You now take the complex journey that we're talking about and the millions of assets we produce a year getting interjected at different parts of the funnel in the journey. We can't offer that same level of sign-off on every single asset that's produced, mainly because I don't see it and we don't always have it. It's built within guardrails to not bottleneck the creative process and also not have to slow us down. So we kind of have to brief at the very start a concept of what we're going to do. appreciating and respecting how we want to bring our own brand to market with product as well as the brand partners. And then we just have to go, and we just have to adapt on the fly. Have we got it wrong a couple of times? And I've been sent some horror shows, a little bit like the handshake slide that was put up earlier with multiple fingers in the wrong place. Absolutely. But we correct it quickly and we're reactive and we don't make that mistake again. And that's what I like about the machine and the AI and the Ampliant solution is the feedback loop is pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Have you started to test AI and automation in your workflows? And where have you seen the biggest difference so far?
In the tactical campaign content we need. So when I say tactical, for clarity, it's more showing up in that moment for a trend that we weren't able to plan for. So campaigns, Black Friday, super easy, same place every year. We know what we need to prep for it. We can copy last year's execution as a framework. Trying to predict that Kim Kardashian's going to walk down the street and be photographed in a pair of shoes that then all of a sudden every 18-year-old girl wants, and then being quick to market, targeted with that and produce that content, that's a nightmare. So it's that part where we're using AI now to produce those kind of asset production. We have found a really clever way, not me personally, so zero credit am I taking for this, of rendering real life product photography onto AI avatars, interjecting them into campaign situations, and then being able to go out with a content flow of motion as well as still assets.
That's a bit of a touchy subject, isn't it? AI models. But I think,
Not from my P&L. My P&L loves it. Yes,
but,
generally.
if you think about the matrix of models that would be required to make a really, really good user experience for a customer to see this color and this size. So, if it does help user experience, then why not explore it? Yeah.
For speed, I think there's a playoff there. The biggest challenge we had wasn't actually around maybe the morality of using an AI model. It was more around, does the product that is shown, is it fully representative? Because it's technically an advert. So are the brand markings in the right place? Does it fit in the same way that it would when it's not being worn in the traditional sense? That was probably the biggest challenge. We needed to make sure we got quality assurance on before anything went out.
Yeah. How are you measuring ROI, Rehan, in your business?
Yeah, so the main KPIs, like I believe everyone is measuring engagement, how is the performance, conversion rate. So that definitely, like everyone else, I don't have to repeat those. But what is also important for us is it's not only for us the cost saving, but I mentioned it already, the creative headspace to win that. How much time can we take for our content creators that they can create those stories? Storytelling, as you mentioned before, it's very important for us to inspire our customer, tell them the stories, why they should buy these products, which are quite expensive, right? So a simple t-shirt for us might be 100, 200 euros, but in luxury, it's going to thousands of euros. So they are spending, and unless you really tell them the stories, they're not gonna buy that. So this is kind of thing, so creative headspace, this is the KPI which we are looking for, how we are optimizing our workflows, how we are saving time there, and providing those times then to our content editors.
And how are you using AI or planning to use AI in your workflows?
Good question. Luckily, 3 months ago, we started our first test. That was the first campaign where we created the complete content on that page with the help of AI, meaning the image was created with AI, the text, the headline, the description, everything was created with AI. And it has a great result to that. But coming to the challenges, which you also mentioned, coming from a traditional company, right? A family-owned company. Quality is so important and also focus on the luxury. So this challenge with brand that, okay, AI can create content and then brand saying, no, the quality is important. We have a certain kind of voice of tone that needs to be part of that. That is the challenge which we are facing currently also and which we need to regularly work on continuously in the next years. And I believe the right way is to show the results. These kind of tests, show them that that works, right? And only once you see the KPIs improving and customers' loyalty is still being there and they're still being inspired, only then you can change that culture. So I think it's also about the culture. And I believe every one of you see this kind of challenge. It's not only that AI is there and you can start using, it's the culture that you have to adapt in your organization to really implement that.
Yeah, and again, human guardrails, that's important. Craig, as customer expectations do keep evolving, like you were saying before, what is the next big opportunity or challenge for your content supply chain in your particular sector?
Yeah, I think the challenge to start off with that is probably remaining relevant in all these different marketplaces where consumers have different expectations of where they want to show up, whether it's browsing on social to being now on Reddit or using generative AI search engines, which just don't take the ranking that we've built up over a period of years and pivoting into a different type of content platform and format. That's the biggest challenge, and getting that right will be difficult. I think opportunity-wise, it's twofold for me. I was going to say something, but your reaction earlier to AI models makes me want to steer away from that. So I'm going to go down a different route of a little bit what Rehan just said then around utilizing the tools that take away some of the cumbersome workflows, like our product copywriters have to write 20,000 descriptions a year. They didn't get into the world of copywriting as an expert, as their skill set to sit there and just churn out 20,000 descriptions. They want to do creative blogs. They want to do writing that's going to then rank for me in a commercial sense on these AI agents. So we've offloaded a lot of that from them, and now rather than having to write 100 descriptions a day with a lot of the research that's required for that, we can do 1,000 in an hour, have it sense checked, go to market, and then they're freed up in terms of time that we get back as the main KPI to do more effective, more fulfilling work that's going to have a bigger impact. So I think a couple of different things to go after, but yeah, it's an ever-evolving space, so I think that's the exciting part.
Yeah, and freeing up their time to do more important work is absolutely where the future is. We do have some time for some questions, if anybody has questions for the panel.
Perfect. I have a question for Craig. Based on your last response, you mentioned that you're using AI to create product descriptions. Based on your experience, how much time saved did you get from using AI to create those 20,000 product descriptions?
Yeah, I mean, well, like I say, we can do 1,000 in an hour now, and it takes somebody a bit of time, maybe a day to go through all of those and just sense check. But as we keep learning and feeding the process, we're hoping to be able to go straight to market. So it frees up maybe 3 or 4 headcount from your full day to focus on other creative material writing. And then you factor in the translation piece of that as well, being automated. I currently have a team of 14 copywriters who look at doing this that are now able to be more go-to-market and reactional to these trends and these moments that pop off, rather than being constantly in that wheelhouse of just creating content and copy. That we all need product descriptions, don't get me wrong, they're important for SEO, but are they the most valuable piece of content to create when you're talking about explaining a product's benefits? Probably not. So that's been the kind of the pivot and the time saving for definite. However, I will add that the beginning of the process to get something robust enough that's fed in enough information to understand our brand tone of voice and how we want to show up and write a really coherent description was quite a lot of effort at the very beginning. But then once we've got it correct and we're happy with it, it now just kind of runs and feeds itself. So just be prepared for that early on board, and the more data you can feed in, the better the output.
Well, thank you all so much, and thank you for listening. If you want to come and chat to us during the breaks, please do feel free.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.